Alright guys, how you doing? It's Rabea, I hope you're all well. So if you've been following my channel for a while, you'll know that one of my favourite drum libraries to use, or at least creators of drum sample libraries and programmable drums, would be Get Good Drums, recently rebranded to GGD. They're also responsible for things like the Smash and Grab compressor, which is one of my favourite compressors I use in all my mixes, and also cab libraries like the Zilla cab library, the Massaad, the Kali library as well, which is Mesa V30s and stuff. Basically, Nolly is the man behind all of the drum libraries and the cab libraries and stuff, and I absolutely trust his ears when it comes to creating amazing sounding drum tones and cab tones. And I think it's the guys from Periphery, so there's Misha, there's Matt Halpin, and Nolly, and I think there's a few others that basically created Get Good Drums, now GGD, that basically just did a really good job of creating drum libraries that loads of people like to use, myself included. Whenever I've done recordings like grinding gears stuff or anything like Arrival or We Are Here or any of the singles that I've released, it's always Get Good Drums that you're hearing. And the way I usually like to record them is I'll sync them up to my electric kit, which is a TD50KV, and I'll play in the grooves, and then I go ahead and mix them like the real drums would be in Logic and stuff like that. In any case, fast forward to 2025, Get Good Drums rebranded to GGD, and they've launched Modern and Massive 2, which was one of their first drum libraries that really put them on the map for creating great programmable drum libraries. So Modern and Massive 2 is like an amalgamation of all their experience that they've learned over the last few years to create a really high quality, awesome sounding drum library. The other cool thing is that it's now standalone using Cradle Hub, I believe, so it doesn't need to run inside Contact, which is what it used to have to do. In any case, Nolly sent me a message and said, do you want to check it out and maybe do some content for YouTube to show you guys what it sounds like? And I thought, yeah, of course. Nolly's one of my good friends. I like working with him on stuff, and I wanted to help out by spreading the awareness, because I think GGD, well, for me at least, make absolutely fantastic drum libraries, and I love using them. So anything to spread awareness for them, I'm up for. So I thought, what would be a cool way of creating a video, and how could I, incorporate this into something to show you guys? And I figured I would take an old song that I've done, and I would redo the drums, or at least part of the song, redo the drums to show you how they would sound. So I chose the song Nomads that I recorded with Ben Meinl, who's the drummer in Tosca, because we did this track ages ago, and I figured it's already pretty much mixed, and we've got all the guitars and bass and everything in there. What I'll do is I'll remove his drums, and then I'll play them in on the electric kit, and we'll see how they sound. And I figured it would be a nice way to show you how the workflow works. And it's also worth saying, I haven't yet opened Modern and Massive 2, so there's going to be a bit of a learning curve, but I've got a screen grab running, so we're able to see exactly how it works and go through it together. And I figured that would make for a cool video. So without further ado, let's crack on. So you should be able to see my Logic session set up right now. This is the Nomad session. We'll have a quick play, and then I'm going to remove all the drums. So let's go ahead and get rid of all the drums. All right, let's create a new track, software instrument, Modern and Massive 2. I use Logic, of course, so it'll be depending on the DAW of choice for you guys, but basically I choose software instrument, I scroll to AU instruments, and it will be here, GGD. So Modern Massive 2, boom, and we are loaded up, I believe. Let's see if we are loaded up. Get rid of the library, no one wants that out there, it's just in the way. Right, Modern and Massive 2. There we go, look at that, shiny. We need to just double check that that is multi-output 16 stereo, very cool. And now I need to just quickly work out what I'm looking at basically. So this is the mixer. Okay, so now you can add effects inside GGD. Things like, oh look, compressors, transient designers, limiters, drives, reverb. That's very cool. You couldn't do that before, so now you can actually pre-mix it inside the app and then spit it out as audio, which is actually very, very, very cool. We're not going to do that today, but it's nice to see it. So this is your main sort of drum avatar window, or whatever you want to call it, where you can change up the sound of each individual drum. You can audition them. Ooh. That sounds pretty good. Right, I'm really quickly just going to choose a drum kit for that. Yep. We've got another one of those. Yeah, I like the attack. And then for that, right. We'll keep it like that. So this is the mixer. As you can see, all the parts of the kit are here. And we can obviously add plugins and stuff and really fine tweak them. And it's even allowing us to do one-shots as well if you want to sample reinforce them before they even leave the app. Then we've got mapping, which we're going to really quickly change on my electric kit. It looks as though, from the way it looks right now, you can obviously clear the map, and then that's listening to it, and I'm assuming that means record the MIDI information. So that's very cool. So that looks pretty straightforward to me, is that I'll click record and then I'll hit on the kit, and then it will track the MIDI hit that I want it to correspond to, allowing me to map my electric kit to this library. And then we got a groove player, which we're not going to use. So yeah, I think the first thing I need to do is create my channels. Master bus, that's 1 and 2. Okay. Stereo 1, 2. So kick, external 3 and 4. Let's check that. There you go. All right. And then kick in 2. I'm just going to put that on the same one, and then and that as well. So it's like a kick bus, basically. So all the kick mics are going to go to the same. Yeah, that makes sense. For me right now, don't need a one-shot. Snare top, let's do 5 and 6. Same with snare bottom. So the nice thing about this isn't necessarily what I would do normally, but what's nice here is that I can basically create my snare bus, my kick bus, which is all the kick mics summed to one place. And then I've got the app in here to like mix the levels of them. So if I don't want as much snare bottom, I can actually go into the GGD app and I can pull down the snare bottom microphone, and it will, you know, correspond to stereo 5 and 6, which is going to be my snare bus or my snare channel. Yeah, that looks right. So yeah, very, very cool. Very, very easy. So with all those rooted, yeah, that looks right. So now I can hear the far room on its own. Very cool. Okay, so that's master, and that's kick, and that's snare. Okay, and then I'm just going to quickly level it out how I would kind of do that. This kind of thing. So now that everything's mapped out in terms of the channels, it means when I come to mix it down, it should be fairly straightforward. The next thing I need to do is map out the kit. So let's do that. Okay, so I've got the kit set up here. It's already turned on. I've got my you know, MIDI USB running to the Mac, and then the screen grab should be still on screen. What I'm going to do is I'm going to click learn, hit the drum that I want it to correspond to, and hopefully it should work. Mapping, clear map. Right, so kick. If I hit the kick, yep, that worked. All right, snare. Yep, okay, so I've got it all mapped out. It looks good. There are a couple of things that I need to figure out, like being able to do different cymbal hits. Like I used the like on top to have something else, like China, but it's not working quite right. In any case, for the purpose of this, we'll play through as far as we can to this track and see how we get on. So let's do that next. 2, 3, 4. We've got some issues with the hi-hat mapping. It's not very responsive. Mapping. The velocities of things are a bit weird. Attributes. Ah, there we go. Global velocity. That's what you get for not being a drummer. 1, 2, 3, 4. A little bit sweaty from just trying to drum that from memory. As you can probably tell, this hasn't been a particularly well planned video. I'm about to leave for Finland for a week and I wanted to get this in before I left. So let's take a look at what I recorded. We're not doing the whole song, even though I tried to play that whole way through the song. So let's see where we get. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go in to my piano roll and take a look at what's going on here. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to quantize everything. So I highlight and then I quantize probably to about 85% because I'm not a very tight drummer. So let's just start there. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take a listen to the drums. And I'm just going to quickly correct anything that sounds wrong. So, from looks of things. So that should have been, that was a rim shot, should have been a snare. So every time I'm hitting the rim of the snare, it's missing the trigger, which is kind of irritating because I should have tracked that better, but I didn't, as in I should have mapped it properly. From the looks of things, so let's do that. Foot control parameters. And you can see here, this is what my foot pedal was doing. So that should be like much higher and tighter. So like, and what I might do is just draw across here. And you can see there's a big open, so let's try that. Yeah, so it's a bit of work to do and I would normally spend quite a lot of time just refining all this stuff, but in the interest of time and for this video, let's just broad strokes it, shall we? And that was should be a flam, so like, again with the stupid rim. So annoying. They should just be on the beat. I don't know what I was thinking. I was trying to be all fancy. That looks like it should be like that. That's clearly a flam or an intended flam, like that. So like. So yeah, we'll call it there. I think that's probably a good place to stop because we'll be here all day otherwise. So roughly that sounds like it's kind of the part. Obviously, Ben, I'm sorry I've butchered your drum part, but for the purpose of this video, so the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to boost all these kick drums because they're too soft. And it's a problem with my mapping on my kit. So I just need to change that around. But that should be much better now. Okay, so at this point, we can go ahead and start making some adjustments. First thing I'm going to do is create a master drum bus. That can be bus 1. And then call that drums. And then I'm going to do my usual preset for a master drum bus, which is going to be, I'm going to go mag EQ, and then I'm going to go SSL, master G bus compressor. And I basically have it 4:1 ratio. I've got it on 0.1 attack and actually, you know what, I'm going to change this. I'm going to try something different. I've seen Nolly do it recently, and I'm going to see how that sounds. So we're going to take a Empirical Labs Distressor plugin. Distressor. Right. And then I know it's like that. And then this wants to be 20. And then probably bring it to about there. And then I think something like this. So we'll listen to the drums. Okay, for now, let's just keep it like that. Oxide tape, I'm going to change that for Studer A80 because it's way better for me. Studer A800 even, not A80, my bad. Noob over here. Right, let's do that. Way more low end, prefer that. Okay, so drum bus sorted. This is super quick, by the way. I've never used this drum library before, so this is kind of interesting. Right, parallel bus compression. I'm going to put snare all the way up. I'm going to dial in a bit of toms, a little bit of kick. We're going to go a lot of room, this kind of thing. A little bit of overheads. I usually, for this, to be perfectly honest with you, I just go get good drums, smash and grab V2, because it's so sick. Do a bit of that, let's have a listen. And then I want that to go output to main drums. I'm just going to take a look at the cymbal mixer because it sounds like those hi-hats are bloody loud. Right. Hats, bring those down. It could actually be in the overheads. So the theory is that I'm going to quickly mix down these drums, get everything sounding nice, bring back up the levels of all the other instruments, balance it, and then see how it sounds. Who knows, it might sound terrible. The point is we're trying to replace it with program drums, so it's going to feel different. Just by quick broad stroke situation here, messing around. I mean, it's by no means perfect, it's by no means finished, but the idea being that you can quickly throw down, turn it into like what would be considered like a real drum recording environment where you've got individual tracks to mix stuff down. And considering this, that I've never opened this before, it's very intuitive. And I mean, hopefully you can see that that is the case because I've just gone in here and basically figured out how to map it to a kit, map it to individual auxes and start using it as I used to do with the contact libraries. And I think that's testament to how well designed this is, just to say that, you know, I think that's really impressive. I've literally spent however long I've been filming this video trying to learn this program, but I'm pretty impressed. I have to say, it sounds really good. Okay, to save me from being here all day, because I'm just going to get carried away, let's listen to Nomads. And then listen to what I've just done. I've given it a very quick mix, so it's not necessarily by any means close to being what I would be happy with putting out, but I wanted to have a quick listen and see. So. Okay, and let's listen to the one we just done. I actually don't think it sounds that bad. I think, considering how quickly I've thrown this together, I'm pretty impressed with. It's got the essence of the version that me and Ben did. I have to say, the things that I'm taking away from this little experiment so far are the drums sound very well captured, very natural. When you listen to the individual mics, like the overheads or the room and stuff, the whole thing, all these samples triggering sound very cohesive, like it's actually a real drum performance, which is very cool. It was mega easy to map this to the kit. There are a few quirks. I want to work out how to map multiple cymbals to different parts of the cymbal itself. The hi-hat was mega easy to track. Obviously, it needs some refining, but very, very easy compared to the Kontakt version, I have to say. The other thing that's nice is very easy to mix down. Very quick once-over EQ and compression, and then the master bus compression. But routing it all out to auxiliaries was really easy, considering I've never tried this sort of Cradle app before to use it from. It's pretty self-explanatory. I like the way it sounds, and I think, to be fair, whenever a new drum library comes out, I usually use it when it's time to write demos with VOWER or write my own stuff and see how it fares. One thing that is going to be interesting is that I used to blend different kits in Kontakt, different instances of GGD in Kontakt, which I won't be able to do with this. I actually found that was how I got more unique drum sounds. But for the purpose of this video, just messing around with Modern Massive 2, having a little crack and seeing how it sounds, I'm pretty impressed with how it sounds. Easy to use, job's a good one. So yeah, that's basically this video, a little insight into how I go about recording drums and stuff for songs that I write, and just thought it was a good opportunity to, you know, show you how it all works and also test out Modern Massive 2 for myself in the moment, in the middle of a video like this. So in any case, thank you for watching this video. Hope you've enjoyed it. I'll link Modern Massive 2 in the description box below. As always, thank you for watching. Like, subscribe and share. Thanks to GGD for sending this across. I've been Rabea, and I will see you all very soon.